my God, what the fuck? Oh my God, they getting bored. Yo, free out, man. Oh my God. That can't take us. Yo, what are you saying, bro? Nah.
Por favor, me está pidiendo mucho. No, my son, please. Alto, ven. Por la cresta, mi hija.
I always find it interesting seeing how so many people from Latin America are clueless about how racism works in America. Too many of these people are very disrespectful towards freedmen Black Americans when they choose to migrate to America. If it was not for our ancestors pushing for the 1965 Immigration Act, these same immigrants would not be able to even enter the United States. They are quick to team up with white supremacy and spew their anti-Blackness that is heavily rooted in the Latin American culture towards Black Americans. What Trump is doing with this ICE deportations is way overdue. Well, as you are about to see in upcoming videos, many of these immigrants are getting their wake-up calls in a major way.
Oh my God, what the fuck? Oh my God, they getting bored. Yo, free out, man. Oh my God. That can't take us. Yo, what are you saying, bro? Nah. Free the unit. ICE out here getting out of hand, bro. This ain't regular no more. In Fordham Road, me and B Shape out here, right here on 188. They bugging. Nah, and they taking their shit. Oh, no. They doing it.
Por favor, me está pidiendo mucho. No, my son, please. Alto, ven. Por la cresta, mi hija. Alto, ven por la cresta. Antonio, sígueme, por favor. Hija.
Ma'am. Excuse me, officer. This is her daughter. Ma'am, can I ask you a question? Do you mind if you pass my daughter on phone? This is for her dad.
Now we have ICE making some arrests in Brentwood, Long Island, New York on June 2nd. It is great to see Trump getting ICE out in New York. Too many of these immigrants are coming over and totally being disrespectful to freedmen Black Americans in New York. Mayor Eric Adams never should have allowed this sanctuary city crap. These Black politicians are nothing but boule sellouts, working for white supremacy. The freedmen Black Americans of New York deserve better treatment from their so-called Black leaders. I'm tired of seeing these immigrants getting handouts from the government that residents of New York are not getting.
Tenemos a Inmigración en Westbury, Long Island, New York, este día 3 de junio. Esto es algo real, no es por darle miedo ni pánico a nadie. Esto es lo que sucedió. ICE se lleva detenido a muchos inmigrantes. Veamos el video.
Miren, ve, viejos panzones feos.
I mean, yo, that's not right. All right, no with me in the middle.
So get out the way.
Al menos dice, por favor, muchacha, muévete. Pero muchacha, porque
Yo no le estoy grabando a usted.
me da esa parte.
Carmen.
También andan por el área de Brentwood, Islip, Amityville. Yo les mostraré los videos próximamente. Dale me gusta y sígueme para más videos.
Just so you know, he has a case reset for 30 days from now.
That's
Okay, but he has to be here for 30 days.
okay. You just gotta come down here, please.
Ellos dicen que vayan con ella.
Thanks. You gotta come down here. Let's do it. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, just so you guys know, like they have 30 days. They have to get back into the court. 30 days.
Just come this way. No, don't.
I'd ask you to come with me, please. Right down this way. Right ahead.
Jose and Josue left El Salvador in 2016 with their mom Alma seeking refuge from gang violence. They spent almost half their lives here, celebrating birthdays, watching their baby brother grow up, and Jose's graduation. But now the two are back in the country they were once forced to flee.
I called my mom like around 5:30, something like that, and I called her and I told her, hey, we're going to get deported. The plane is waiting for us outside.
In a Zoom interview, they tell me the last few months have been a nightmare. They're scared, isolated, and speaking out.
I don't know nobody. I don't go out. I always just sitting, just sad.
The brothers, 19 and 20 years old, have pending petitions for special immigrant juvenile status. It's a pathway to a green card that provides protection for kids who have been abused, abandoned, or neglected by one or both of their parents. In this case, their father, who abandoned them at a young age. They were most recently living in Central Islip and went to what was supposed to be a routine check-in at the New York field office back in March, and that's when they were detained.
They were not letting us use the bathroom.
They say they were held in federal detention centers in Buffalo and then Louisiana before they were deported on May 7th. It was just 2 weeks before Josue was set to graduate high school.
When I saw that they closed the airplane, the door of the airplane, I wanted it to cry. I guess it is over.
Alma, who is living in Georgia, has Josue's cap and gown still hanging on the wall. Through tears and a translator, she shares her plea.
I ask that they may please have another opportunity to return to this country because they are good people.
You told me that earlier that you are working on this case that is getting certainly on our newscast every day, and it's got a lot of people very upset. This is the big controversy involving 20-year-old immigrant from Venezuela. Dylan is his name, and we're showing a picture of it right there. He works for his family here in New York. He has been here legally, and he's going to school in New York high school, and now he's gone to 4 different states because he was ripped out of our city. What's the status of him? What are you doing, and where's he gonna end up here?
You know, we're working with his legal representation, the New York Lawyers Assistance Group, NILAG, to ensure that we continue to fight for his release. Dylan is a New York City high school student who was working part-time to help his mom pay the bills and take care of his younger siblings. He was doing everything right, in the right way. He was showing up to immigration court, and because he showed up without an immigration attorney at the time, unfortunately, ICE was able to entrap him and arrest him and put him into expedited removal, even if he's not eligible for that. So it's really disheartening to see the federal government continue to be, run amok of our laws, and, really, we're living in an incredibly dangerous moment where people's due process rights are being violated on a daily basis. And Dylan, unfortunately, is not the only person who has had to face this. We're seeing many other people showing up to immigration court here in New York City and in Buffalo and across the country who are faced with the same fate as Dylan was.
Like any place, there are some good and bad people anywhere you go. I have traveled and lived in different countries. What I have seen is that many countries, whether they are Latin, Asian, European, etc., racist behaviors are mainly covert actions, activities that are hidden or concealed, or overt actions, activities that are open, more in your face. Years ago, as I was on my journey of learning Spanish language, I used to watch several Spanish TV programs such as Sábado Gigante, Despierta America, 12 Corazones, and Primer de Impacto, etc. While watching these shows through the years, I began to notice that these shows rarely, or if at all, had Afro-Latin people on the shows as host of shows or news anchors. That's when I started looking into the history of Latin American countries. On this Mahogany Culture and Travel channel, I have done a video about the history of Black people in Mexico that you can look at, that speaks further on the ancient history of Afro-Mexicans. Since the 1910 Mexican Revolution, people of African descent in Mexico were largely excluded from official documentation and national identity. In Mexico, there is a popular expression of mejorar la raza, a phrase that is used in Latin American countries, which means improve the race. It implies that you should marry or have children with a whiter person so you'll have better-looking kids. La raza has historically been used to refer to the mixed-race populations, primarily, though not always exclusively in the Western Hemisphere. For over a century, Mexico maintained a racial ideology known as mestizaje, which promoted the idea of a mixed-race national identity that primarily included indigenous and Spanish ancestry. This ideology effectively erased the presence and contributions of Afro-Mexicans from the country's history and identity. It was not until 2015 that Mexico officially recognized Black Mexicans as citizens of Mexico in a national census, acknowledging them as citizens with distinct Afro-descendant heritage. This was a significant milestone, as it allowed for Afro-Mexicans to be counted in demographic data, leading to a greater push for their rights and inclusion in national policies. However, racism and colorism remain major issues across Latin America, including in Mexico, Brazil, Honduras, Venezuela, and other countries. Many Latin American nations have deeply ingrained anti-Black biases due to their colonial histories, where African enslavement was brought in to work on plantations, mines, and other labor-intensive industries. Despite the abolition of slavery in the 19th century, racial hierarchies persisted, favoring lighter-skinned individuals and reinforcing discrimination against those of African descent. In many Latin American countries, a racial and social hierarchy exists where white or lighter-skinned individuals of Spanish descent hold the most power, wealth, and influence, while darker-skinned individuals, including Afro-descendants and indigenous people, often face systemic discrimination and economic marginalization. Although Mexico has an Afro-descendant population, the government historically confined them to certain regions, often keeping them out of national consciousness. The majority of Afro-Mexicans live in the states of Guerrero, Veracruz. Veracruz is a historic port city where enslaved Africans were brought. Oaxaca and Costa Chica, a coastal region spanning Guerrero and Oaxaca with high concentrations of Afro-Mexicans. These areas have historically been underdeveloped, with poor infrastructure, limited job opportunities, and a lack of government investment. The deliberate neglect of these communities has contributed to the continued marginalization of Black Mexicans. Many Afro-Mexicans in these regions have limited political representation, experience racial profiling, and face difficulties in accessing education and healthcare. In countries like Brazil, where the largest population of Afro descendants outside Africa resides, systemic racism manifests in disparities in education, employment, and police violence. In Mexico, Afro-Mexicans have historically faced exclusion from political representation, economic opportunities, and social recognition. In Honduras, Garifuna communities, Afro-Indigenous peoples, have suffered from land displacement and violence. In Venezuela, despite a history of Black resistance, Afro-Venezuelans often experience discrimination in social and economic structures. Due to these systemic and cultural issues, Black travelers and expatriates should be cautious when visiting or moving to Latin American countries. While many regions are welcoming, the persistence of racism can affect access to services, treatment by authorities, and general safety. Racial profiling, economic disadvantages, and exclusion from opportunities can make it challenging for Black individuals to navigate these societies. Understanding the history of colonization and its lasting effects can help prepare those who plan to travel or relocate to Latin America, ensuring that they are aware of both the beauty and the challenges that come with experiencing these countries. Tell me what you think about this topic. Hope you find the information in this video informative. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. Thanks for watching.